How's it going? My name is Mick and I'm just shooting this new video because I hadn't shot one in a long time. Had a lot of stuff that I've been doing instead of building the car. So this is my EH panel van. It's a 1964 Holden. I've done a lot of modifications, custom bumpers, headlights, front valance, rear valance, rear guards, doors, modifications to fit those windows, which are definitely not factory. The car is very dirty at the moment because I've just been doing house stuff and other cars to get cash. Okay, so this is a 265 Hemi, which is a Valiant 6-cylinder from Australia. I had to move the oil filter so that it could fit between the chassis rails. I sort of build my own stuff. I don't buy stuff because I can't afford it, and there's no kit for this, so everything's sort of got to be built. So like those engine mounts there, those are made by me. I used panhard rod bushers, and I think they're a little stiff, so I'm going to change them for rubber ones. So alternator mount, the frame that mounts the alternator and the power steering is all Mick special as well. So to make this thing fit, because it's significantly larger than the standard 6-cylinder, I mentioned already the oil filter. I had to move the filler cap. It's normally on the top here, so I moved it off into the side and made a custom bit for that for it to sit in, so it can still do its job. You can still fill up, but it just doesn't get in the way of the bonnet. You can see up there in the bonnet there's a few bits removed, extra bits removed. That's to fit the radiator, so it's much bigger than standard. It's like a Commodore V8 one. Part of the way that I build when I build is to modify so I can fit standard parts. I don't like to have to buy custom radiators or stuff like that because, I mean, I can't afford them, but also it means if I'm out in the middle of nowhere, like I intend to drive the car, so if I'm out in the middle of nowhere and a stick goes through it, I'll survive. That's a Davies Craig electric water pump because, as you can see, I cannot fit a water pump on the front of that engine. The factory one sits here, just there, and it is too long if I have the pulley on it to fit there. There's a good view there of my custom engine mounts. So those are made by me, fabbed up to fit. The exhaust is just the factory dual outlet manifold, which brings it up to apparently about 250 horsepower at the flywheel. I'm not looking for crazy horsepower. I just after lazy torque, but the factory engine in this pushed about 110 to 115 in its standard form, so I'll probably be more than double that anyway. So it should be plenty to move a car that only weighs about 1,200 kilos. Yeah, so 265 Hemi, 4.3 litres of Fury. I do have a triple throttle body setup that I've used Triumph 955i throttle bodies on, which are about the same size as SUs. And I've drilled it for injection, and that setup, I've got a picture in the competition page of it. So yeah, this sprig here is custom. It's an old windscreen wiper unit, so it springs up by itself and holds itself out of place. That's because I had to use different hinges because the brake booster goes in the way of the original hinges. So I used ones out of a later model Commodore and set up the geometry so that they open and close right and do everything they're supposed to. They did a really good job. Other things I've done, tops of these guards here, I've made this plate with bolts underneath it so that there's no fasteners in the top of the guard because I only wanted fasteners on the engine. So the engine's black and all the fasteners on the engine are bright. They're just very dirty at the moment. So you can see here, still working on it, so I've had to do a bit of a nip and tuck on the bumper because it was just not fitting correctly. And that's because when you bolt everything together the first time to measure everything, it doesn't necessarily go together the second time the same. These old cars, everything's sort of made by hand. I've hidden most of the wiring up under the guard. I'd never do that again. It was too much of a pain in the ass. I wish I came up with an idea after that to sort of, if you could replicate this shape and sit it down further and make like a cover that ran that whole length there, then you could just access the wiring a lot easier if you needed to work on it and change it. At the moment it's up under there, and I've run a few extra ones just to be, in case I need to run anything through to the front here. Like if I need to run, I don't know, anything else. Everything's hooked up. It all runs, starts, runs, and drives. Got the windows in it. I did have it painted, but the paint job turned out not as I wanted it to, because I've done a lot of bodywork to get this car very straight. You can see it's pretty dusty, but yeah. Jaguar D-type filler and custom rear bar. So normally these have got bumperettes, and it stops sort of here. It stops about here and just kicks up at an angle under the bumperette. I put the rear corner from a sedan in there and made a full rear valance to fit. This bumper actually wraps around. I do have a picture of that. It wraps around and runs across. I can't get under there right now to take the photo. So that was like based on a later model Holden, a HR Holden. I really liked what they did with the bumpers on those. Custom interior, Mazda bucket seats, and it is full of all of the junk that you need to build a car because life gets in the way. So that steering wheel is off of a 240Z Datsun. The gauges are out of a Jag, Series 3 Jag. Just sort of made the dash nice and timber because that's what I like. So that's buckets, rear seats. I'm in the process at the moment of templating all of the interior door panels. That 5-speed shifter is a spanner because I thought it would look cool. It's nice and chrome. And I made a special mount that comes back to here and actually connects to the top of the standard T5 shifter. So all that will be hidden under the console. But it means I can pretty much position that wherever I want. Like I said, pretty much I just make stuff out of either whatever I've got or what I think would look cool. I do want to change that shift ball to something different though. So that kind of fits a theme. I've actually got a little spanner as the indicator stalk. You can see that over there. You can just see the edge of it. Indicator stalk. So this column is out of a R31 Skyline. Steering is out of an R31 Skyline. The sides of this are made from the roof of an R31 Skyline. And that's because I needed a part, so I had to buy a whole car. This is what happens sometimes. So yeah, I've used what I can for things, or what I had, rather than buying new stuff. Yeah, like I said, don't have the cash to spend on it, and I kind of like doing that. It's a standard part you can get again easily, but also it means that you're reusing something that would normally go to junk, so that's kind of good. Yeah, pretty much everything's been rebuilt, bottom to top. Started with a whole lot of rust, so that's why it got away from me and turned into this thing. I used a bead roller for this to make that sweep line, but I actually made the bead roller electric myself because I can't afford an electric one, so I bought a manual one and used some bits of an old mountain bike and a couple of drill gearboxes and stuff and old drills to make it electric. Yeah, so Franken roller. It's a bit. It's in the build still, but it does run and drive, and if I wanted to, I could put the fuel in it, hook up the battery and kick it in the guts and take it down the street. Everything works, all the brakes are plumbed and everything. I just got it just sort of down to finishing off cosmetics and a little bit of interior. Okay, that's it.